Hello there, Internet. Hello there, YouTube. Welcome back. Pardon me. My microphone hasn't been behaving that much in the last couple of streams. I think part of it is because I'm not talking directly into it. Anyway, welcome back to the Hermit Gamers continuing solo hardcore playthrough of the game X-Men Legends 2. We're using Scarlet Witch, who I would argue is the worst character in the game, certainly for solo play. The worst, the only F-tier character, I would argue as well. Very nice buffs. Useful in a team, completely terrible on her own. As you can see, we streamed for 2 hours yesterday just to get to Grizzly, the first mini boss. Most heroes can finish Act 1 in 1 hour, the whole act. We're not even a third of the way through. Anyway, we're going to get in there, we're going to continue. Things are going to be a little bit more downhill now that we have our second ability, so yeah.
Let the games begin.
So here we are, where we have dealt with Grizzly. I could choose to power loot this area, but there's like 7 barrels here. It can be done, but without a mobility like flight, I don't want to do it. And I think we can manage now that we have... So, Wanda's big problem is she's a ranged character. She has no way of rebuilding herself as a melee character to get good, to change up her damage options. And her abilities just stink. Like, the casting speed, the animation, like the delay between... Like, I'm holding this button down, I promise you. This is as good as it gets. It's miserable, it's slow. The damage doesn't particularly scale based on like how slow it is. The projectile itself is slow, which given the auto-targeting in this game is extremely imprecise. You're not going to be leading shots. It essentially means it is an ability to spam down narrow corridors or to use within melee range. You can't use it within melee range because it's so slow you get beaten to hell. You can't really spam it down corridors because you don't have any way of getting space when you kite stuff. So the way we've been using it is essentially to bunny hop over to bait out an attack and then throwing it at their back, which is, again, you can see the problem with this auto, like the auto-targeting in this game is absolutely just demonic in how miserable it is. And with this ability, any slow ability in particular, whatever the damage actually says, if it says it does 5 to 10 damage, if it says it does 50 to 100 damage, just cut that down by a third or a quarter in actual gameplay. Because that's, you're going to be whiffing 2/3 of your stuff. Just, yeah. And as you can see, but the ability that we recently unlocked just before getting to Grizzly was Combustion, which Combustion for the early game is not terrible. For a level 7 unlock, there's way worse stuff in the game. Anyway, we're going to get Mutant Master. So yeah, it's radial. The only problem is the range is not the best, and the damage is staggered out over a bunch of DOTs that don't particularly synergize with add damage from equipment or anything like that. The ability is strong for now, just because anything that hits more than one enemy is always going to feel strong in the early game, because you can do stuff like that. But as you can see, we essentially need to 3-shot mobs with it. It does CC them to some extent while it's killing them, so it's not the worst. But it's not the safest either. You would not wander into the middle of a mob with amp damage and expect to live using that ability. In fact, die. Yeah, so our engagement options as Scarlet Witch, honestly, just kind of stink, and they never get any better than that. There are Hex abilities that are better damage than this. But, in terms of the animation, their usability, no, they're all this bad. Which means they're all bordering on worthless. Like, you will use them when you absolutely must use them, when the option is either use that ability or die to the mob. You know. but you have no damage. You have no damage mitigation. Your ultimate sucks. The funny thing is, Scarlet Witch and Phoenix are very similar, and honestly, I would probably put Phoenix down on Scarlet Witch's level, except Phoenix has the ability to rebuild herself as a melee character. And if you do that, her melee damage is actually good. She also has 2 good abilities that synergize with building her as a melee character. So she has an auto-firing turret. So the turret is just, you just put it up, it's there, it's just shooting for free while you go and punch. So you're sort of stacking up your DPS like that, you're optimizing. She also has a radial, which the damage is very weak, but it reduces the damage that enemies do. So, you have a way to kite ranged enemies. You have a way to mitigate the damage of melee enemies who are trying to run you down. And you have high single target DPS, like you can just punch your way through mobs very, very quickly. So, all in all, as you would have seen on the channel, Melee Jean is honestly is a pretty strong build. Her big weaknesses are things like the Archangel fight, or the Strife fight, where you have to break environmentals in order to progress, because she is extremely poor at breaking environmentals. Scarlet Witch does actually have abilities that just pop environmentals pretty much instantly. Like, so, Combustion you can use and it will do the job. But later in the game, you actually have a Hex ability that you know, it's designed to break environment. It auto breaks any environmental you shoot it at and makes a little explosion around it. So you can put 1 point in that and it will do the job. But as I said, there's no way to build Scarlet. You can kind of build Scarlet Witch as a melee character if you have Toad in the group. Maybe it's sort of viable. I mean, look, if you have other people buffing you, then it's very viable. It's weirdly viable, but it's hard to explain. So, let's say you want to build a party that's just like pure melee spam. So you go like, Toad, maybe Gambit, Phoenix, Scarlet Witch. Now, Gambit and Phoenix are going to give everyone on your team massive elemental damage added onto their melee attacks. Toad is going to massively buff your melee attack speed, and he's also going to massively buff your physical melee damage. Now, Scarlet Witch is going to have this on, which gives everyone... this scales pretty well. This is a good buff. It's very, very skill hungry, but it is a good buff. So if you then throw this on, and then Scarlet Witch has an item that gives her like massive crit chance and so on. So she will essentially crit with every shot. And if you build into her strike, like that's enough to put a build around if you have some external damage sources. And she can be worth bringing in that sense, primarily because she also brings her own third layer melee buff. But honestly, like you could legitimately just bring Iceman instead, just give her on ice gloves and not worry about it. So, you know. I firmly believe that in team play in this game, there genuinely are no F tier characters. I'm really trying to think who would legitimately be F tier in this game in team play, and I don't really think there is anyone. Like, in team play, the strongest things in this game are your buffs. So, the strongest characters are... Well, look, it's hard to say because it's like the strongest characters are still just the strongest characters. You know what I'm saying? Like, Iron Man is still just the strongest character in the game. And you can just build your entire team around empowering Iron Man and just win based on that. And then all you need for that is like... Toad for Secretion, Phoenix for Phoenix or Scarlet Witch for EP Leech, and then either like Scarlet Witch or Professor X maybe for a tickle of extra damage, but it really doesn't matter because you're going to be one-shotting everything anyway. And anything you don't one-shot, you're going to be firing out your abilities at such comical speed. If you have to two-shot something, it's legitimately not going to matter. You're not even going to notice a difference. The entire screen is just going to be full of gamma bolts bouncing around, deleting everything. And you're never going to run out of energy to spam them, so it doesn't matter. So, when we talk about, like, oh, who's strong in team play, the stronger characters are still, like, the linchpins of your team. It's just that, yeah, I don't know. As I say, I genuinely, I don't think there are any F tier characters in this game when you play it as a team game. Everyone has their, I would say the closest thing to a genuine F tier character in this game is maybe Rogue. Just because what she does, other characters do better. Like, if you just want someone to, like, be invincible, be the front line, be a wall, put out lots of damage, Sunfire, Pyro, Colossus can all do the same job. Heck, even Magneto is, functionally a frontline tank in this game who not quite as invincible as Rogue, but doesn't drain your extreme tokens to maintain his invincibility, so kind of balances out. And he's not going to die anyway. So yeah, that's, I would say maybe Rogue is the only genuinely F tier character in this game. And as I say, that's not because she herself is bad. If you just played with her, you wouldn't think she was weak. If you play with any character, if you play through this game, they're going to feel, without having played anyone else, they're going to feel pretty good. It's only when you start looking at them comparatively, and then only when you really tried the super strong options. Because, like, I will always say that, like, Colossus is better than Rogue, right? But, like, look at the difference in terms of, like, why I say Colossus is so much better than Rogue. Like, when you actually, like, pencil it out, put it on a piece of paper and write down what he does that is better than her, and it's literally, like, they are both functionally invincible, they both have an extreme that makes them functionally invincible. But Colossus requires fewer skill points to max out his. Rogue takes a lot more skill points. So he has a slight advantage in terms of the flexibility of his builds, the other skills he can build into, blah 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 blah. Because he's using less skill points than her to get the same effect. However, it's not quite the same effect. His ability is actually slightly better. So hers makes you immune to damage because it bounces that damage back at the enemy. And that's not the worst. It does actually, like, it will kill stuff. Enemies, they don't do the most trivial, the most negligible damage in this game. So they will actually kill themselves. If for some reason you can't kill them, which you should be, whatever. The fact of the matter is, the bounce back damage is not irrelevant. It's not nothing. But Colossus just doubles his own damage flatly. And same thing about Sunfire and Pyro. So it's just better. Like, there's just no getting around it. But that's basically the difference. So I would say the only other difference is Colossus. Colossus's alt Demolition is a better screen clearer than Rogue's Manic Slam. However, Manic Slam is a better panic button maybe in some ways, because Manic Slam turns off everyone's abilities and stuns them for like a year. So if for whatever reason you can't kill the enemies in one shot, like they're physical immune or something, which, Demolition is not going to one-shot them in that case, you would be better off having Manic Slam. Because it gives you time to deal with them using other abilities. Because they're genuinely stunned for like 7 seconds, some really outrageous length of time when it's fully maxed. It is like, so, Manic Slam is not a bad ability. Manic Slam also refills your EP, so it has a lot of value. But on average, if you just need something where you press button, clear room, Demolition is the better ability. But as I say, an argument can be made for the value of Manic Slam. It's not a bad ability by any stretch. You know, as I say, you can even make an argument that it's better in some ways because the use cases in which Manic Slam is superior are arguably the more dangerous situations. They're the situations where you are more likely to die. Whereas if you can clear a room with Demolition as Colossus, you probably could have just cleared that same room with Siberian Express. Okay, alright. I'll take energy damage, to be completely honest. I think that's slightly better. A little bit sad that we didn't get a separate piece of equipment. I really would have loved to get some more bonus damage on the gloves or the belts, but either way, I think that's still genuinely an upgrade because more things are resistant or immune to physical than energy. We have a danger room mission, which I think we can do. No, we've done it? Okay. We really are going to try to keep pace with the danger room missions, at least the ones I can personally do, because like we need it. We need every, like, you know, we're not even at the second boss of the game. I mean, the gameplay is so much more brisk now that we have combustion, but the problem is combustion is going to fall off. And as you can see, it's not a safe ability. Like, we are getting beaten up. So if we come across something like a mob with enhanced damage or something really dangerous, you know, we have to then try to kite. And physically avoid their attacks, which means we need a lot of space, and it takes a lot of time. So, yeah, just because our clear speed has gone up just a little bit, trust me, things are going to slow down again at some point. But yeah, as I was saying, so, you know, the differences in this game when you're comparing characters, especially in the team game, are so marginal. You know, it's like... You know, if you have team buffs, everyone does enough damage. Even the low damage characters become, you know, strong damage dealers.
I believe you've lost.
Yeah, so those guys, I believe, are resistant to energy, so we're gonna just back to that. And see if we can't, yeah, chunk them down a little bit quicker. So, one of the nice things, at least, about combustion is that it does do physical damage. So at least you have multiple damage types on Scarlet Witch. You have a combination of, like, energy and physical. It's something...
So our masters here, we are the... Leave no survivors.
And this room should show you that moving forward with the game, her biggest weakness is ranged characters, because you don't have any tool to use against them. Your hexes are too slow to be able to kind of shoot without eating a bunch of ranged attacks for free while you're just standing there in this, you know, hideously slow animation. So basically the only thing you can do is try to, like, pull them back to doorways and corners and then try to just keep them stun locked with combustion. And, like, maybe if you can kind of pick one or two off with your, like, really long range spam, then that can be helpful too. But, like, you can see how woeful the damage of this ability is. Like, it's genuinely pathetic. And I have 2 skill points in this, and I have some add damage on my equipment. I mean, these guys are... It does do energy damage, and these guys are energy resistant, so combustion will naturally pop them faster just because it's physical damage. So, like I say, it is nice that at least you have the physical damage option on a character who, you know, normally does not do physical damage. But we can actually build her as a melee character, as silly as that sounds. Like, we can build her around bonus physical damage and combustion, which is usually how I would build her in a team, because it allows you to use her unique item, which is quite strong, but only if you use melee attacks. Otherwise, you just kind of lose one of the stats on it. And yeah, this room, always a good time.
I believe you've lost.
Our energy economy is just stinky poos. It's non-existent.
Yes, I am even stronger now.
I'm not. I swear to... I have one finger on my keyboard and it's over the number 3, which is combustion. And somehow I'm recasting that ability. I don't know.
I'd have...
And see, the thing is, she gets so little passive strike that unless you basically invest everything in strike, it's not very helpful.
It appears my...
But I'll throw the occasional point in there, it's not going to make any difference.
You dare challenge?
So one nice thing about combustion, please let me pick up the danger room this game. Can I? May I, please? One nice thing about combustion, at least, is it does clear. Breaks all the breakables, which is always handy to have an ability that can just do that relatively efficiently. Really helps out with the clear time.
I believe you've lost.
And we probably will spec into the Scarlet's Touch passive, just because we kind of need something. Probably pop back. Got a bunch of gear I can sell. Nothing I can buy, unfortunately, but that's okay. We need EP. It's taken us like a half an hour to get from Grizzly to Zealot, which, you know, considering it took 2 hours to get to Grizzly.
There's quite a selection, isn't there?
Not too bad, all in all. Oh, I actually could have started putting points in Amplify Luck, which very silly because you know, there's no point putting points in that aside from to get 1 point in that, I suppose. We're going to need to redistribute at some point, but that's fine. Always the case. We did unlock a new danger room mission. Let's go ahead and get that done.
Shots favors the foolish.
You may now begin your course. Generating opponent. Well done. Well done. Generating opponent. Generating opponent. Excellent job. You have completed all course objectives.
The odds are against our enemies.
The course is now active. Good luck generating opponent. Well done.
Ah,
Nicely done.
into the pit. Yeah.
Generating opponent.
Into the pit. Go. No.
An
Into the
excellent job.
pit.
You have completed all course objectives.
Let's chunk it EXP. I like it. We need everything. Everything. We have nothing. We're so weak.
Do you have any questions?
It's gonna take us like an hour to kill this guy.
Don't you know? A pity you won't follow me.
Oh, combustion does some damage. Hello? You can see where I'm clicking, can't you?
A pity you won't follow me.
Like, you can literally see where I put my cursor on the screen, and like, I'm just running in like completely random directions.
Your powers grow weak.
Like, you saw how tilted I was getting when I did the rogue one, just because it's so pathetic to be, like, slow and not do damage. Like, if you want to make a game like this not fun, just play a character that doesn't do damage. It literally doesn't matter what else they have. They can... I mean, Rogue was actually invincible. Like, I'm just so happy to physically be here, where, for whatever reason, I can just spam this ability and it always hits, because... What guarantee do I have that it hits at any other time? What guarantee... Like, the auto-targeting in this game is on such a different level of bad when you play as Phoenix and Phoenix and Scarlet Witch, specifically, because they have this weird mechanic where they have, like, ranged melee attacks. I don't know how it works. I just know they get weirdly hung up on terrain and will just path in like random nonsense directions, and that basically whether or not you can actually control your character is very RNG. So where that's kind of okay with Phoenix because you build her as a melee character and you just run into everything and kill it. You have a lot of damage. Your abilities essentially auto-target, or you have a really huge AoE radial.
Quickly, get out of... You got it.
When time...
You don't need precise targeting. Scarlet Witch, you kinda do.
Yes.
And you just don't have it. Like, you don't have targeting at all with Scarlet Witch. And this is one of the reasons why you end up defaulting to combustion. Like, you genuinely don't have a choice in the matter. Abilities are so unusable. Just, you know, the actual base functionality of the ability has nothing to do with it. Like, if a hex, if this level 1 hex ability literally just, if this literally just said, fire a hex bolt that deletes an enemy from reality, and it was an actual, honest to God, one shot on everything that doesn't have, like, you know, iframes or is a unique boss. If it worked the same way as Juggernaut's Path of Destruction does, it would still be a crap ability. And that's the thing, where it's like, it's genuinely like, it doesn't matter how much you buff it. It's unsavable. I mean, unless you buffed it to, like, make an explosion where it lands, you know, something like that, where you're buffing it to a factor of, like, 10 or more, giving it AoE or something. Because as a single target ability, it's arguably the worst in the game. It's just so slow. The projectile is so slow. You combine those two things with the auto-targeting in this game, and as I say, its actual listed DPS is like a quarter. Its actual DPS is like a quarter of the listed number, which, considering the listed number is garbage, and you wouldn't use it, you know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't use it if it hit every time. It would still be considered a bad ability, because there are abilities that are like twice as good that do hit every time. You know, you have like, in fact, I can't even think of an ability that's that bad. Like, there genuinely isn't. Bishop has Bio Beams, which has 2 beams, so it doubles the damage from add damage gear. So weird, but you know, fact. It also is a relatively quick ability, and it's a point-and-click beam, just like Cyclops's. Cyclops has his point-and-click beam, which increases its speed as you level it up. So it actually has a multiplicative, you know, damage enhancement where you're both increasing its damage and increasing the speed at which you inflict that damage every time you level it up. So you get good returns from your skills, even though it takes a lot of skill points. Blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is, it's usable. It's point and click beam. It's fast. You can cut. You can use it. It kills stuff. Gambit has a kind of ability where he flings a card, but it's a homing ability, and it gets additional cards if you keep ranking it up, so it gets better. Again, you know, like, maybe the only level 1 ability that is, like, comparably bad. I mean, Storm has a lightning ability that is really terrible, but it stuns. And also, it will hit something. It's kind of hard to precisely target it on what you want to target it on, but typically, it doesn't whiff. Like, it doesn't completely whiff. It hits something. So it's way better. Like, Rogue Smash is really, really bad, or Colossus's Iron Fist, but, like, you know, their kits are, you know, they have a lot of health. They can get in there in melee, they can mix it up, and the damage that those melee attacks do is so much better than the Hex Bolt. They can also hit more than one enemy. Not consistently, but it can happen. So, you know, if you actually have the toughness to hit trade, those abilities are not that bad. It's rough in the early game because specifically against those tiny beetles, because you can't afford to hit trade against them. They do too much damage, too many of them stack around your hitbox and just burst you down. But this, as I say, this isn't too bad. So the way we're going to build Wanda is basically we are going to build her around this misfortune. And this will at least prevent melee damage enemies from seeing us to death. And then combustion. And maybe even our own melee attacks. We'll probably have a couple of points in reality shift. You know, it is what it is. Yeah. We could try to build around reality shift, but it just doesn't work.
I'm sorry about that.
And yeah, our damage really stinks. There's not much we can do about that. At least we can open this door and get the homing beacon.
Oh my! How did that happen? It was quite enjoyable.
There are times when I genuinely just like wonder if anyone, like if some of the heroes in this game were even play tested. Like I'm pretty convinced that no one play tested Iron Man, because even if you just used a
Terribly sorry about that.
even if you just let the AI do the build for you, it will still put enough points in motion amplifier that like, you know, by the time you're like level 30 or something, if you use motion amplifier, you'll suddenly be like, hold on a minute, I'm like one-shotting everything instantly. And I do 5 times more damage than any other hero in the game. So I genuinely don't believe that was play-tested. But then he is a bonus character. But as I say, I do genuinely wonder if Scarlet Witch was play-tested, because even when you're playing as a team, she feels terrible to play as, because it's just like you don't kill anything yourself. And as I say, she does have this niche where she's primarily debuffing enemies and buffing your team, and you know, and then she does kind of like a little bit of tick damage in the background or what have you. But you know, she's the kind of hero that like you might bring her in the team, but you don't play as her. You don't actually have fun playing as her, even in a team, unless you build the team entirely around making her, you know, more viable.
Having difficulty coming to a decision.
Which is doable. You know, in that when you can literally just build her as a melee character and just bring all the heroes that buff melee. Roar. Roar. Luckily, I have a ranged attack. I don't have to end up molding about trying to make the freaking pixel perfect jump there. But yeah, it's gonna take a long time to do this as Scarlet Witch. Because we're going to come across stuff like this. So there's always just going to be situations like that where it's like, oh no, I have to surrender the entire map to one mob so I can kite them and kill them without dying. But also just the case that we cannot afford to skip content. We have to do bonus objectives. We have to clear maps. We need the EXP if we're going to have any chance. Like, Rogue, I could kind of like lose my mental with Rogue and just be like, nope, we're just brute forcing this. And you could brute force it because she does have invincibility. She does like she shouldn't die to CC because she bounces damage back. See, the problem with these buffs is like until they get to like at least 20 seconds, they're not worth casting. And as you can see, the actual effect of it is not great either. But it does ultimately become decent. The problem is, you know, you kind of need your skill points. Scarlet Witch just, yeah, it's one of those things. It's like she's just weak in every area because you know, she doesn't have any one strong thing that you build her around. Like even the two abilities that we're using, Combustion and Misfortune, have anti-synergy. Because Misfortune rebounds damage, and the other ability CCs enemies so they don't do damage. So it's just like
That was quite enjoyable.
you kind of have to use one or the other, but at the same time you kind of need both. As I say, it's just she doesn't have any synergies. If she had an ability that I don't know, made her tanky, gave her genuine damage mitigation.
You ain't getting away from me!
I'd have thought you'd be more trouble.
So, something I very rarely do when I do this map, but which you're seeing now, is you can actually...
Am I hitting too hard?
Yeah, you can kind of take Blob with you to clear the map, which is mostly just he's pulling aggro and he CC stuff a little bit, which is helpful, but you know, he just goes and makes a mess.
That is far too heavy.
Take your time getting up, shorty.
Why can I not break the wall?
Target fly!
I believe you've lost.
I mean, her clear time's not the worst. Once you have Combustion, it's just The fact that you can't really skip content slows everything down. But this just is going to be a grindy one, unfortunately.
Enjoy your nap.
And the reality is, just a lot of the casters in this game are just not that strong. When you build them as casters. Like, Storm is not particularly good as a caster, but she's extremely powerful as a melee character. The benefits of her casting skills... I don't know, like, Storm is actually a really overpowered character. I don't know why I never put her on S tier, but probably just because... so she's functionally invincible, and she has actually some of the best single target damage in the game. Because she gets massive buffs to her melee damage, and then she has an ability called Static Field that applies a debuff that is just tremendous. Like, if you Static Field a boss and you have like a full melee build on Storm and you just go in and wail them, they just die pretty much instantly.
Good. Come a little. I assure you, it will be most unpleasant. Please do not give up just yet.
Hmm?
Please do not give up just yet.
And yeah, you kind of get beaten up a little bit at first because you're trying to like suss out a pattern that will work with your like. This is the problem. Like, our abilities just suck. Like, they just genuinely suck. Like, the hexes are literally unusable in this fight. You will miss 7 out of 10 of them. And combustion sucks. It doesn't have enough range to be good for kiting, and it doesn't do enough damage considering like how long it takes to even get a single cast off. And sometimes we just eat damage and there's nothing we can do about it because that kick has a bigger hitbox than our radial. That's how worthless our radial is. But incidentally, this is every boss fight with Scarlet Witch. It's literally just hit trading until they fall over and you run out of potions and you die. Oh my god. Can I not get, like, stuck while she's just healing for free? I mean, this isn't too bad. We're not getting that beaten up. I have kind of found a bit of a pattern. Slow, but I still have 9 potions. Plus we can break barrels and stuff. This is the biggest problem. It's just like, she gets so much free healing up here. It's so frustrating to watch it. You know, it's a nice feeling, even though it is kind of suffering. It is a nice feeling when you know, even if it is just a simple game like this, it's nice when you can start to succeed in a challenge, or at least do better than you thought you would do. I genuinely did not think we would get this far. I really thought it was going to be just over in the Thirsty Caverns. But with enough patience, enough freaking bunny hopping, enough kiting, it genuinely cost me sanity points down there. I'll never get them back. But I like to do this because, one, I do want to genuinely demonstrate how bad a bad character is in this game. And why, you know, this is kind of the only character that I say is bad. Because as you can see, she's orders of magnitude worse than anyone else. Like, it took her 2 hours to do a third of something that a good character can do in 40 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to take us 6 hours to do Act 1, but it is going to take at least 3.5, maybe? Which, again, I remind you, like, Iron Man can do Act 1 in, like, half an hour. Not even, that's on a second playthrough, because you don't even have motion amplifier. But a strong character like Pyro, Pyro, Nightcrawler, even Sunfire, they're just done. They do it in 40 minutes if you're lazy, half an hour if you genuinely like are trying to be fast, and then for like 10 minutes if you're speedrunning.
Hello.
And yeah, we'll probably swap back to the Uncanny, because energy is just typically a better type of damage. Now we can't, unfortunately, do both sides because we don't have a teleporter or telekinesis or anything like that, but we will do the side we can do. And at this point, I could power loot until I can afford to get that redistribute. But for now, as long as I can, like, clear... She's so bad.
I'd have thought you'd be more trouble.
Yeah, as I say, a lot of the casters in this game are kind of overrated if they're played as casters. Even the good ones can fall off a lot in when you come back through the game on hard difficulty. The only one who I personally find really impressive, who isn't like bugged or broken, is Magneto. I mean, using them as a... Magneto, obviously Iron Man, but Iron Man is bugged and broken, so is Pyro, so is Sunfire. They're all the really strong ones. But the others, like Storm, is unimpressive, as I say, unless you build her as like a kind of melee assassin, in which case she is very impressive. She's easy A tier because, you know, invincibility, kill everything in one shot. What more do you want? Yeah, she doesn't clear screens. She does actually have a screen clearing ult that stuns everything, just like rogues. So it gives you plenty of time to just go around and one-tap everything with your punches. Oh, this is...
Enjoy your nap.
I mean, we genuinely do like joke damage. Remember, we have plus damage gear on. But anyway, we do need to clear this area. At least keep chugging until we're level 13 and then I push on.
About time you people got names, Caleb. I'm being forced to. That's good news.
But yeah, this as I said, this character is very bad. Because, you know, there is no way to kind of hack her damage with melee cheese, as you can with Storm, as you can with Iceman, as you can with Fire, as you can with Sunfire. And Professor X doesn't need to, Magneto doesn't need to, they both just do enough damage to get by. They're also quite tanky. Well, Magneto's very tanky, Professor X is a bit tanky, but also very fast. So, the combination of like a little bit tanky, extremely fast, lots of damage, will get you through just fine. With Magneto, you're more of like a proper tank, where like, you're not super fast, but you just do a lot of freaking damage, a lot of AoE damage, and you're very, very tanky. So anything you can't kill, you have time to just chunk it down, while you just hit, you can pretty much hit trade with your way through the entire game, as long as you keep all your buffs up.
Well, what have we?
Whereas Professor X has to do a little bit more docking and weaving, but he also arguably has more damage. He also has a lot of CC, like very hard CC. And Magneto also has some very hard CC as well. This is just hideous. You know, like some characters that I would consider to be somewhat weak. Like, I don't consider Cyclops to be a strong character, but I do consider him to be a fun character. Because unlike Wanda, he doesn't do a lot of damage, but he makes very effective use of range advantage, and then he has good CC to keep things from, you know, just kind of running it down on him. He's also quick. Kind of feel almost like a gunslinger or something with the players. Like your draw speed is very fast. You come around a corner, you snipe. You can effectively snipe and kite ranged enemies. Like you can shoot them and then physically move to avoid the projectiles that they shoot back at you. So his build just has more room for skill expression with like positioning, movement. He also gets a movement buff on his personal items, so he's a little bit faster than even, you know, he just gets another little boop to his movement speed and his ability to kite and so on. And again, I would say he's one of the worst characters in the game in the sense that his energy economy is bad. He doesn't have any invincibility buttons. He's very, very weak at taking bosses down. Okay, well, please move my camera so I can see, and then I'll go through the door. No, we're not going to do that. Okay, thank you, game. But yeah, you know, by the numbers, Cyclops is kind of like maybe even a little bit weaker than Scarlet Witch if you're just looking at raw numbers. Particularly when you're talking about energy economy, and this is good. This is not ideal because radiation damage kind of sucks, but it's still freaking damage, and there's no such thing as a bad damage where we currently are. But yes. I don't think there's any reason to free these guys if you can't free them all. Like, you only get a EXP bonus at the end
I'm getting out of
if
here.
you get them all. But whatever, we're here. I'll be nice to them. Push on, and we just continue the grind. We'll go down every hallway here. We'll do the qualifying exam.
I believe you've lost.
As you can see, a little bit of damage from gear makes a big difference, even if it's just a little bit of radiation damage.
Target's mine. Oh.
I knew Magneto wouldn't.
Anyway. As I say, the casters in this game, a lot of them are very overrated. Like, I think Iceman is very overrated. I think one of the problems is that people play him... so, here's the thing. Iceman has Iceman's, like, item that he gets from his danger mission doubles his cold damage. And I promise you, a lot of the people who think that Iceman is amazing are not using gear that gives you bonus damage, because there are some abilities in this game that see like hard CC enemies, like literally freeze them in place, or like there's an ability Magneto has that like it pretty much I did the same thing as freezing them. It like puts them in like a little metal prison. But if you have bonus damage on your abilities, the freeze only lasts for like an instant, and then the prison instantly breaks. Now I promise you 100%. Now the value of it's still better to have bonus damage on those abilities than freeze. Still better. That's just the power of bonus damage in this game is unbelievable. You are never
You came just
not going to have it as a best in slot choice in all three of your equipment slots. It's just the way the game works. So, you know, but I promise you, people who think that like Iceman are really good, what's happening is early game they like him because lots of CC, and when things are like not even moving, they're very easy to deal with, even if you have low damage. So, you know, and alternatively, because I know for a fact people are not generally using plus damage gear, they're then being super impressed with Iceman because they put on his custom item, like his unique item, and they're like, wow, it doubles my damage. But the reality is, like, an item that, you know, that's scaled for your level and that gives you plus damage couldn't effectively double your damage anyway. I'm not saying his personal item isn't good, it is actually really freaking good, and it's one of the things that kind of bumps him up as a character. But I guarantee you people are being super impressed by that. He does have some good abilities, and you can build him as a melee character, and he absolutely claps. And he has mobility because of Ice Sled. And if you build him as like a caster, you can focus around ranged AoE abilities that are pretty strong. I can't believe it! Ah! I forgot to make fun of them, like, off rip. But it is one of my few customs, because that person always has to be made fun of. The slow. Like, we're already slow. Leave me alone. Why are you bullying me?
Thank you.
Finally, some.
Oh my god. I can't fucking believe it. We need to go back and buy more energy. This build is so impoverished. Like, we just don't have energy for anything because we have to cast everything like 7 times to kill stuff. Leave me alone. Oh, this.
I believe you've lost.
The pain. Almost level 14.
Well, what have we here?
It was quite enjoyable.
So now we unlock Reality Shift and Misfortune. We can't actually get Misfortune without getting a Redistribute. And we unlock quite a lot of stuff there. But
Crikey, stop the puck.
and so this is Reality Shift, as you can see. No better than the normal Hex as far as cast time, travel time. I mean, the travel time might be a smidge faster. It does certainly do a lot more damage, especially at this point when we unlock it. So that's decent.
Anytime.
I mean, like, a literally eternal ragdoll animation, incidentally. That's why I'm not doing it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you need misfortune on this character. Because if you get chain CC'd like that,
Hello.
you just die without it. But we can get our redistribute. It will leave us legitimately broke. But honestly, we should be fine because there's nothing I really want to buy. So combustion, reality shift, cha-chung, 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 cha-chung. And then we want to keep combustion up, and I don't know if it's even worth putting points in that yet, but we kind of have to try to at least keep pace. It is going to eventually be important. And yeah, with that, we basically just save those skill points for you aside from getting misfortune. So misfortune, as you can see, it's quite necessary, and it should allow us to come in here relatively safely. And this is kind of what you have to do with ranged enemies, is just kind of bait them to a corner and bully them with your CC from combustion. Melee enemies we can hit with misfortune. And as you can see, it does save us a lot of damage. The problem is a lot of the attacks that we actually want it to like save us from, it doesn't save us from.
I believe you've lost.
And as you can see, like, we can make it through, but we just straight up use all our resources. Like, we just... You know, a huge part of our game plan is just kind of, like, standing there and getting beaten to hell. There's, like, very little we can do about that. Because you can't use ranged advantage on her. Her ranged abilities are too terrible. I mean, it's a tiny upgrade when we can use it.
Hello.
On the flip side, I really didn't actually expect to like use all my resources there. But that's okay. We'll go to the southern habitats and we'll have to just farm some credits and farm some potions. That's the reality when you're using a build this bad, is that you just gotta grind. Many types, many layers of grind. Grinding can mean kiting things back halfway across the map to slowly chip them down. Slowly deal with them. can mean constantly coming back here to farm potions that you can't afford to buy, to farm tech bits, maybe even get lucky and have an item or two. Alright, we have enough to at least push for the waypoint here, so we'll do that. And yeah, there's just going to be a lot of this sort of gameplay where we just kind of hide around corners and wait for stuff to come and hopefully kind of peek us one by one. You know, that's kind of how we have to deal with ranged enemies. You know, if they're low damage like that, we can kind of push in for free.
Terribly sorry about that.
I mean, our EP economy is like literal. I don't even know what to call it. It's absolutely trash. And we have almost 70 focus and we have a point in Mutant Master. Like, the character's abilities just literally do not do enough damage. They're just really bad. But honestly, the imperfectness of this game, the fact that it is kind of like weirdly like not even play tested, you know, that you just have like one character can just go through this entire area with like one health potion. And, you know, be completely fine. And then another character just like legitimately like needs 10 potions worth of ability usage to actually just clear the same area. It's genuinely... that completely like insane level of balance is what makes this game fun. The fact that you feel like you have to almost like hack a build into being on the characters that aren't very good, and then it's just like, oh wow, actually, you know, like if you look at Jean, if you were to build Jean as the game clearly kind of wants you to, where you're using, I don't know, like Dark Phoenix or something, and building her as a caster, and she sucks. Like, Dark Phoenix is like Combustion. It's slow, the AoE is not great, the damage is kind of mid, the EP cost is really high. It has this kind of added ability where it's supposed to do like a explode corpses, but it's like nobody cares. Like, a good ability just kills everything. Who cares about the corpses? Everything should be a corpse by then. But I mean, look, even if you were to use, like, even if you were to build Jean cleanly as like a pure caster, I would still argue she's better than Scarlet Witch because you have one fast casting, big radius AoE ability that, you know, if you spam it a couple of times, it will make all your enemies run away from, or just kind of run around confused.
Hello.
So that's great. I was really hoping we would have our extreme. Alright, what we're gonna have to do is... Now I actually do have enough waypoints to properly reset maps. So we're going to see if we can reset the Grand Hall map and do it again. But first things first, we just come back here, quick loot, never know what's going to drop. Can't afford to, you know, walk past these little opportunities, these little chances to get power spikes. Even just potions, are welcome at this point. Tech bits, very welcome. Buy an extra level, that would be lovely. Buy an extra, you know, skill point, that would be lovely. Gamble for equipment even, that would be very nice. And let's see if we have refresh. No? Damn, how many maps do I need to cycle out? Okay, so that's been cycled out. That's been cycled out. Cycled out.
Oh my! How did that happen? I believe.
Cycled out. Cycled out. Alright, there we go. We can loot this again. And not lean into it too much. Let's go. Hopefully clear out the Grand Hall again. Oh, that's super dangerous. Oh, okay. Okay. Embrace the grind, and the grind shall embrace you. See, the moment you start properly grinding in this game, like actually resetting your maps and making sure you hit the right breakpoints on your levels and so on, you can actually so you can optimize EXP gain in this game once you can reset your maps, because there's a lot of waypoints you can go to where it's just like, okay, there's an instant elite mob that I can refresh over and over and over again. And farm them for EXP and even for loot. The problem, as I say, it's the early game, 100%, because the early game is where you don't have those options. You don't have enough waypoints to refresh maps. You only have, if you run past stuff, you're going to be under level for the stuff that's next to it. You're also not going to have space if you need to kite it back. You will just die if you try to run through. But like I said, it is a valid way to try to clear a hardcore run, where you just sort of say, I'm just going to run through the Cersei tunnels, I don't care. You know, the initial Cersei tunnel. I mean, not the ones that are actually labeled the Cersei tunnels that have the waypoint in front of them. The ones that you have to go through to get to Grizzly. I genuinely need one more kill. I'm not sure where to go for it. We might actually just have to refresh. Even these like low-level robots gave it to me. Okay, I'll take it. We can probably loot the extremes we need from these barrels as well. So.
I'd have thought you'd be more trouble.
As you can see, it's not worth looting this low-level area because of the amount of tech bits you get. I mean, you still get potions and extreme tokens, but you don't. Anyway, we have our extreme. It's not going to help us to wait. Smash these barrels while we wait for our EP to regen. Tech bits. And I'm not expecting any difficulty with beating this guy. It's just going to be slow. But at least he is relatively stationary, so we can spam him down with reality shift. And as you can see, the damage is not bad. And it can be increased further with Hex Mastery and Amplified Luck, so... You know, if you can hit it on the enemy, it's not the worst. We'll see how Combustion compares. As you can see, it doesn't. It's maybe a little bit more consistent, but... And as always, this guy's just a little bit grindy because of that suck attack, which I don't understand. I think that's a really janky bit of game design because it's like he's not playing the game. Like you're not playing the game, but he is not benefiting from you not playing the game. It's just a literal pause button. And I understand that he's pulling you into him, and then he sets you up for an attack that you need to avoid, but it just takes way too long. It's just to speed that up by about 300%. The thing is like, it's not like he only CCs one person, because Strife has a lot of CC as well, and he can chain CC you pretty badly, but in a group, he's only CCing one person, so it's kind of irrelevant. Abyss, when he uses that ability, he CCs your entire group. Everyone goes through that, like, tumbling ragdoll animation, you know, where it's just like AFK now for like 6 seconds for no reason. Anyway, that's all those barrels broken. Put a little bit more loot to grab here. And we are looking at... I said it would take about 4 hours to finish this act. We're at about the 3.5 hour mark. So, a little bit faster than I predicted. But still, tremendously slow, grindy performance. And, you know, remember, this is not Magneto. This is not... you know, we're not playing a hero who is going to suddenly, like, unlock some amazing ability at, like, level 25 or something. Like, this is about as good as this is gonna get.
out with a bang. Oh, I'll never tire of this game.
I believe you've lost.
And as you can see, the ult, it's okay. Those guys with the little halos on them are kind of under our control now. So it's not the worst panic button. It does randomize damage types, so it doesn't stress too much about immunities or anything.
Oh my! How did that happen?
And here we are. Where's the one?
That was quite enjoyable.
And there we are. It's been a bit of a grind, but Act 1 is done. And Act 2 isn't going to take like 6 hours or anything. But it's not going to be fast. Because again, we're just at that level where we can't afford to skip areas. Kind of have to grind it out. What I can do, which I forgot to do, I should have done, is the qualifying exam.
New X-Men. Scarlet
Odds
Witch.
are against our enemy.
So we'll do this, we'll save, and we'll head to Act 2 and wrap this stream up. Tomorrow I'll be back and be doing Act 2. So.
When I'm finished here, they will be able to identify you with dental records.
And here we are just going to try to spam her down, like hit trade with her, because none of the like resources we use in here are real. So damn, she just won't attack you at all when she has that debuff.
Qualifying exam has been completed. Grade passed. Congratulations.
So that wasn't too bad. Got a free talent point. Life is not going too bad here. So this ability, the reason I don't build into it is because it doesn't scale well, as you can see. Only 3% per level is a really poor use of your skill points. And even if you were to fully max it out, it's only giving you like a 20 or 30% damage reduction. So it's really trivial. It's certainly not enough to, to be your kind of primary survival, even though ranged enemies are the biggest threat to you. A similar situation with Cyclops. You just have to find another way to deal with them. Anyway, I just saved, we talked to Professor X, and we got back to... We are the greatest, I know.
Honestly, Charles, I don't.
And yeah, I hope my suffering is entertaining someone out there.
I'm afraid all that about most.
I'm genuinely curious to see how long this entire playthrough is going to be like together when it's fully done, because it's going to be a long one. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. We'll save, and I'm at peace. I shall see you guys tomorrow, where we will continue this. And, yeah, get on to Act 2, continue improving our build, continue grinding. But until then, catch you all on the flip side. Take care.